Am I the antagonist for letting my BF treat my niece's burn and not waiting for her mom, who's a nurse? Yesterday, my boyfriend and I were taking care of my niece because her mom, who is a nurse, had to go to work. While she was with us, we decided to cook some food. Unfortunately, my niece accidentally touched her arm on the hot tray that I had just taken out of the oven, resulting in a burn. My boyfriend quickly came to her aid and treated the burn. He has a lot of experience dealing with burns, so he knew what to do. While he was helping her, I texted my sister to inform her about the incident and assured her that my boyfriend was taking good care of my niece. Around 20 minutes later, my sister arrived at my place in a rush to see her daughter. Understandably, she was worried and examined the burn. After calming down, she turned to me and questioned why I allowed my boyfriend to treat my niece instead of waiting for her, as she is a nurse. I was caught off guard and didn't know how to respond. My niece was fine, so I couldn't understand what the issue was. Later, my boyfriend explained to me that burns should be treated immediately and that it's not advisable to wait. Even small burns require prompt attention. My sister continued to criticize me for letting someone without medical training treat my niece. Afterwards, she lectured her daughter for about 10 minutes on burn care, repeating things my boyfriend had already told her, before heading back to work. She was also rude to both me and my boyfriend, giving us hostile glances when she took her daughter home. Today, our parents called me to ask why I couldn't take care of my niece since her mom was called out again. I informed them that my sister never contacted us or asked us to babysit, which is unusual because we are usually her first choice due to our proximity to her house and the hospital, as well as our flexible schedules. I'm trying to understand my sister's perspective, but I'm having difficulty grasping why she is so upset, to the extent that she doesn't want us to babysit my niece anymore. I would appreciate any insights, and I'm wondering if I am in the wrong here. It sounds like you handled the situation correctly by promptly treating the burn. It's baffling how a nurse could think it's better to leave a burn untreated. Your sister's reaction seems irrational, and she may be upset because you didn't panic enough or defer to her judgment. However, minor burns are an inevitable part of growing up, and it's important for kids to learn from these experiences. If your sister wants to withdraw the privilege of free babysitting from you, it's her loss. Furthermore, her assumption that you did it wrong without even asking for an explanation is unreasonable, especially considering her profession. It might be worth having a conversation with her to address these concerns. Am I the antagonist for taking some woman's wet laundry out of the community washing machine? I reside in a building complex with approximately 200 people. We have 2 laundry rooms equipped with around 20 washers and dryers, 10 of each. We use an app to operate these machines. Through the app, you can pay for the washer, receive an estimated duration for the washing cycle, and a notification when your laundry is finished. Other app users can check the availability of washers and dryers, but they cannot determine if there is still wet laundry inside. Most individuals in the building work from 9 to 5, so the washers and dryers are usually unused during those hours, but they tend to be occupied during evenings and weekends. A few days ago, I needed to do my laundry and noticed only one machine was available. When I went downstairs, I saw that the machine had completed its cycle, but the person hadn't taken out their wet laundry yet. There was a laundry bag in front of the machine, so I removed their laundry, placed it in the bag, and started using the machine for my own laundry. Later, when I returned to my apartment, I realized that our apartment complex group chat was filled with messages. Apparently, the woman whose laundry I had taken out was angry because I hadn't waited for her to remove it herself. She began accusing whoever had done it of being a pervert. I responded by stating that it was her responsibility to do so, and she knew exactly when her laundry would be finished, due to the app. I mentioned that it was impolite of her to assume others had to wait for her when these machines were meant for everyone's use. I also mentioned that it seemed she held a high opinion of herself, assuming others cared so much about her wet laundry. This angered her even more, and others joined her side, stating that I should have sent a message in the group chat and waited 5 minutes for her to retrieve her laundry. I chose not to engage further because I didn't want to argue about it. Today, a similar incident occurred. However, this time I sent a message in the group chat informing them that I had taken out someone else's laundry and put mine in its place after leaving the laundry room. People became angry with me once again, saying that we had all agreed not to touch other people's laundry. However, I do not recall agreeing to any such arrangement. Moreover, they persist with the pervert accusations, which I find highly inappropriate. Personally, I believe I am in the right, but as so many of my neighbors disagree, I may be at fault. So, what are your thoughts? Wow, I can't believe people have the audacity to leave their laundry unattended for so long. I give it a maximum of 10 minutes before I start taking their clothes out. It's just plain rude to keep others waiting. And seriously, a group chat with 200 people? Who has the time to constantly check that? It's not our responsibility to stay updated on every little thing happening in the building. If they want more rules, they should talk to the management instead of expecting everyone to adhere to their preferences. I found out my wife doesn't love me due to something I have no control over. I am Filipino, and my wife is Filipina. I will call her Mal. We were both born and raised in the United States. We grew up in a city with a lot of racial diversity, but Mal always seemed drawn to the handsome blonde white boys. However, many of these boys did not reciprocate that attraction. Despite Mal's preference, she always stated she was open to dating any race of man. In my senior year of high school, she told me she no longer wanted to be with white men anymore and wanted to be with a nice Filipino man. She flirted with me and hinted that I could be the nice man. My 17-year-old self was head over heels for Mal, and I decided to ask her out. She fervently agreed, and we continued dating. We dated on and off throughout college because she sometimes wanted breaks in our relationship. She assured me that she loved and valued me, and I sometimes gave her money and gifts to keep her love. Despite being an average-looking man, most women I wanted chose other men over me and would never give me a chance. The point is, she was all I had. I married her when I was 24, and she was 23. Our relationship started out great, and our sex life was awesome, but as the years went by, she withdrew her love and affection. My wife often displayed hot and cold behavior, but could be very cold and critical. I tried my best to love her, but she made me feel like I was never good enough. I wanted her to respect me, but my wife would become incredibly angry when I asked for respect and accuse me of being a pig if I did. I did everything I could for her. I worked hard and earned money, bought her gifts, gave her plenty of romantic affection, and took her out on dates. Despite my efforts, nothing I did ever got me the love and admiration I desired. We also had 2 daughters together, but my wife loved my younger daughter more than my older one. One day, Mal left her iPhone open while she was working on the computer. I grabbed her phone and ran to my room. What I found hurt me deeply. She was in a group chat with 3 female friends, and one of them asked, "Would you rather be with a man you love or a man who loves you?" Mal said that she loved white men and never actually loved me. She said blonde white men were 100 times handsomer than my common Filipino husband. The only reason she chose not to be with one was so she would not lose her independence or worry about her partner. Mal felt it was more emotionally and financially advantageous for her to marry someone she did not love because she could more easily control them. I was livid and criticized Mal for playing me. She played innocent and swore she loved me, but I knew she was lying. I had our daughter's paternity tested and found out my younger daughter had a blonde white father. I cannot stand my wife anymore. One of my pastors said I should give her a chance and love her. Forget that and forget her. But if I leave, could I still find love, or am I doomed to be lonely? I hate my wife, but some of my family members and friends think I should give her another chance. Or should my wife just be Mal and not my wife anymore? If Mal loves blonde hair, blue-eyed men, then she should go be with them so I can find a woman who loves and admires me. Then again, who the hell ever does that? Hey man, I'm really sorry to hear about the situation with your wife. It sounds like she's causing a lot of negativity in your life, and it's important to protect yourself from that toxicity. Maybe consider reaching out to your relatives and pastor for support. They might be able to help you through this tough time and possibly even provide a safe place away from her deceitful behavior. Remember, you deserve so much better than what she's putting you through. Don't hesitate to work on yourself and seek therapy to heal and grow. You have the potential to find happiness and love with someone who truly cares about you, unlike the evil spawn you're dealing with now. Am I the antagonist for leaving my sister out of our mom's birthday gift plans? I am a 22-year-old female, and I had an older sister named Joanne, who is 34 years old, and another older sister named Frankie, who is 27 years old. Joanne and I have a good relationship, especially when it comes to money management and gift giving. However, Frankie is not good at either of these things. Out of the 3 of us, Frankie is the most argumentative, and things can get complicated when she is involved. Our mom's birthday was in early February, and she was strongly hinting that the 3 of us should get together and buy something for her from her girls. We wanted to honor her request, but we were hesitant to involve Frankie. She has a history of promising to contribute to expensive gifts and then backing out at the last minute or expecting someone else to pay for her portion. She has also been known to criticize any gifts that Joanne and I give to family members. Therefore, Joanne and I decided to jointly purchase an antique pink rose china set, which cost around £300 sterling. I bought the set, and Joanne sent me her half of the money when she was able to. We also purchased individual cards and sweets to give along with the set on the day. When the set arrived, we showed it to our dad, who thought it was beautiful. He admitted that Frankie likely would not have fulfilled her part of the agreement and would have to come up with another gift on her own. On the day of our mom's birthday, she opened the gift from Joanne and me and was thrilled that the 2 of us had come together for once. We explained that it was just from the 2 of us and that we didn't involve Frankie for the reasons mentioned earlier. Our mom was a bit disappointed, but still happy that at least 2 of her children had gotten her something. Frankie then spoke up and asked why she had been left out, claiming that she felt punished for being a single mom. This didn't make sense to us because Joanne is also a single mom and makes a similar salary to Frankie. We briefly reminded her of her history with gifts and contributions and left it at that. Not wanting to argue on mom's birthday, Frankie had already given our mom gifts that morning and once again made a negative comment about the useless china we bought. Joanne and I chose to ignore her comment since it only supported our reasons for excluding her. After everyone went home and the birthday celebration was over, our mom told us that she loved the gift set we got her and thought we had handled it well. However, she also mentioned that we could have given Frankie some input or an alternative role in our purchase if we couldn't rely on her financially. Joanne believes we did the right thing, and that if Frankie wants to be involved in future gift plans, she needs to learn to be consistent, budget wisely, and not constantly let people down financially. Our dad agrees with us but has stayed out of the argument. Initially, I thought we did the right thing, but now I'm starting to feel like we could have found a compromise that would have been less damaging if things had gone wrong. So, am I the asshole? Not the antagonist. Maybe I'm reading too much into this, but it sounds like Mom wants you guys to cover Frankie's share. Honestly, I'm pretty annoyed at your mother for showing disappointment when Frankie takes advantage of you and complains about it. Here's what I would tell my mother. If having a gift from the three of us is that important, then your next gift will be from the three of us. Frankie can buy her own gifts. Frankie will be in charge of picking the gift and paying for it. Once she shows Joanna and me the receipt, we will pay her our portions. Problem solved. To avoid drama in the future, talk to Joanne, and then send a text to all of you siblings. The price is X dollar. Everybody sending the money till 3rd Feb before you buy can join the gift. Make it upfront payment. That will make it clear. We invited her to join the gift. She chose not to. When your mother gets nothing or nothing she would have wanted because Frankie is the way she is, maybe your mother will rethink making you and Joanne responsible for Frankie. Do what you want. Do I tell my best friend's boyfriend that she cheated on him? My best friend, 22 years old, and I, 24 years old, went out to a rave last weekend. At first, we were having fun, but as the crowd grew larger, it became hot and crowded, and we started feeling overwhelmed. Let's call my friend Becky. Becky received a Snapchat from a friend who was visiting our town. He mentioned that there was an after-party at his place. Becky asked if I could come along, and he agreed to give us a ride home and treat us to McDonald's. I asked Becky if he could be trusted, and she assured me that he was. Since I trust Becky, I decided to trust him as well. Unfortunately, it turns out I was wrong about both of them. We got into the car, and I found myself squeezed between two men who didn't understand when I told them I had a boyfriend and asked them to leave me alone. They made multiple inappropriate comments and even tried to touch me. To divert their attention, I showed them pictures of my boyfriend and expressed how much I loved him. Eventually, they got the point, and thankfully, they were friendly for the rest of the ride. During this time, I wasn't paying attention to Becky and her friend, let's call him Dan, as they were engaged in their own conversation. We stopped at a liquor store, and while inside, I noticed Becky and Dan hugging and possibly kissing. I was shocked because I never thought Becky would do something like that, especially since she has a boyfriend of 7 years. It was at that moment I realized that my role for the night was to be an undercover agent for her boyfriend. We arrived at Dan's apartment, where Becky and Dan acted as if they were a couple. They cuddled on the couch, and it seemed like they had done this before. I sat beside Becky, engaging in conversations with the guys around us. I made sure to be loud and obnoxious, emphasizing how amazing both of our boyfriends were and how loyal I was to mine, to send a clear message that I wasn't like Becky. However, Becky's behavior made it difficult to show that we had morals. On the way back home, Becky reached over and held Dan's hand, even though she was wearing promise rings from her boyfriend worth $3,000. I was furious, but I also wanted McDonald's and a ride home, so I kept my cool and stared out the window. When we arrived at my house, Becky and Dan suggested we continue hanging out, and that's when I exploded. I reminded Becky about her boyfriend and yelled his name. Then I got out of the car and slammed the door. She returned almost 2 hours later, which seemed suspicious to me. She hadn't been responding to my texts either. The next morning, I confronted her about how angry and unfair her actions were towards her boyfriend. She dismissed it as a joke, which alarmed me even more. Shouldn't she feel guilty or remorseful? Laughing only made it worse. Her boyfriend is a genuinely good person, and he deserves better. He surprised Becky with a giant teddy bear and flowers for Valentine's Day. He's also a great friend to me and my boyfriend. However, he's an easy target because he doesn't use social media, and we've always communicated with him through Becky. I feel torn about what to do. I don't know for sure if anything happened between Becky and Dan during that 2-hour window when I went home, but in my opinion, holding hands and kissing are considered cheating. I don't want to lose Becky as a friend, even though we've been friends for over 10 years. However, I can't ignore her lack of emotional maturity and morals. I'm concerned about the friendship between me, my boyfriend, and her boyfriend. That's why I want her boyfriend to know the truth. I'm worried he won't believe me, so I took a picture as evidence. Ultimately, it's his decision what to do with that information. It's crucial for you to inform him about what happened. Despite the potential backlash you may face from him, he deserves to know the truth. She's proven that she's willing to disregard her own partner's feelings for her own satisfaction, so there's a high chance she would do the same to you. It's important to remember that monsters will always act like monsters. In this situation, it might be beneficial to send the pictures and disclose the fact that she disappeared for 2 hours. After that, it would be best to cut ties with her completely. Am I the antagonist to not give my stepmother an emotional response? I am an 18-year-old non-binary individual who lives in the house of my 40-year-old father and 42-year-old stepmother while I attend university at no cost. My education is sponsored, and I receive a living allowance which I use to cover my expenses. They have raised concerns about my spending habits in the past, which eventually led to an intervention. I won't defend my spending, as it has been excessive since I lost my job in December and with the birthdays in January. My stepmother is a very vocal person, and when she gets emotional, she tends to express herself based on emotions, while I tend to focus on logical thinking. She has informed me that this irritates her because I don't show any emotional response. When she becomes like this, it feels like there is no way to escape her anger, so I prefer to remain silent rather than say something that might trigger her to yell. They asked me to create a budget for my spending, and I did so by using the income from my allowance and estimating my expenses. However, she became upset because she expected me to base it on my previous spending, rather than limiting future spending. I didn't realize that I needed to do this, as I have always budgeted based on the current amount without considering past factors to justify it. She accused me of wasting her time with a fake budget and putting no thought into it. When I tried to explain, she dismissed it as me making excuses. She found my old resume on her desk and took it upon herself to make corrections. She messaged me saying, "The number of errors in here, man, I would immediately throw this out if I received it because again, you're showing that you don't care about yourself, so you won't care about their business. And also, you do not get to think that people aren't hiring you because of you being queer or having short hair, etc. It's because you're handing them a poorly represented version of yourself, plain and simple." Before this incident, we had a conversation about how I dress and how my short hair negatively affects my appearance. She told me that if I put in a little more effort, dressed more femininely, and wore makeup, I would be more likely to get a job. So I redid my resume and cover letter and sent them to her for feedback. Last night, when I returned home to pick up some of my belongings from staying at my boyfriend's house to get some work done, my stepmother started yelling at me, claiming that she cares too much and is seen as the asshole because she cares while I don't. She was crying and I stayed silent. When she asked why I don't care enough to respond, I told her, "I don't want to worry that I'm going to get yelled at every time I express my feelings," and walked away. I'm frustrated because she believes that I don't care. I do care, just not on an emotional level. I can't bring myself to argue with her because she intimidates me. I understand her frustration, but I don't understand why she is so upset about it. I'm starting to wonder if there is something else I did that they are not telling me, or that I am not realizing, which is causing this reaction. Am I the asshole? Your stepmother sounds absolutely terrible. She berates you and claims you don't care about anything, but only when you're not doing what she wants. It's clear that she's trying to control your life and emotions instead of genuinely caring about you. You have every right to voice your feelings without fear of being judged or yelled at. It's unfortunate that your dad doesn't seem to be any better. If you're receiving a living allowance, maybe it's time to consider living elsewhere and getting away from this toxic environment. Don't let her negative comments affect you and continue standing up for yourself. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, check out the playlist in the description.